Okay, so today in this video I'm going to be covering how Matthew Romain taught us to make puppets in class. You're going to need only two tools. You need a hot glue gun and glue sticks, which I got for $4 at the dollar store, by the way. So if you don't have one, I don't understand how they can make this for $4, but... And you need scissors. Everything that I use in this video today that you're going to see me use, I bought at the dollar store. For your materials, you need felt pads. You only need one of these, a pink one, and you're going to use it for the tongue. You need foam sheets. There are 40 of them here. This is going to be for your puppet's hands. You need these pom-poms for a nose. Googly eyes. These ones have eyelashes. So those are the glue sticks. Yarn for hair. So you can use yarn or you can use like... This is my puppet, and he just has like a tuft of hair, like it was like a strip of fabric, and that's just glued on in the back. I don't know if you can see that, but we'll talk about how to make the hair with yarn. And then you need a bamboo skewer. You just need one for the hand control. Oh, and you need 2 socks. One of them is going to be your puppet's skin, and the other one we're going to turn into a sweater for the puppet. So for the sweater, you're going to want to use a bigger sock. Okay, so the biggest sock you can find. It doesn't need to be one of those big tube socks, though, but just like a big, thick sock for the sweater. And then whatever color sock you want for the color of the puppet. And I got these socks at the dollar store too. So for the puppet, so this is the one we're going to use today for the puppet. The heel is going to be up, so that when you put your hand inside, your wrist lines up with the heel. So make sure when you put your puppet on, okay, that is where your wrist is and the heel is facing up. Okay, this is where the mouth is going to be. So you want to make sure there's some depth there. A good amount of depth, because we need to put a tongue inside of the mouth. So once you've done like that, and you should put your glue stick on and plug it in before you do this so that it's warming up, so it's ready to go, because you're going to need to glue something right away. Take the sock off while still holding that. To get an idea of how deep your thumb needs to be. Now, unfold the sock, right? So all we've done is inside outed the sock. And wherever the heel is, So in this case, the heel is here. You're gonna fold the sock the opposite way of the heel. So it's like if someone's foot was in there, you're peeling their toes up, or your toes, so that the fold goes the opposite direction of whatever side the heel's on. So again, lay it out flat. There's the heel. There's the front of the sock. Fold it over like this. You're going to glue 2 lines where your thumb is going to go. Again, make sure you fold it deep enough. Don't fold it just too shallow like this. It's going to be too small to put a tongue inside. Fold it a healthy amount. Don't fold it like that, though. So 2 lines of glue. 1 line, 2 lines of glue. Okay, and fold it. And hold it down. Something he did was had like a cup of cold water in case you touched the glue. Or I think he was saying that the cold water would like make the glue dry faster. So just wait a minute. Okay, should be dry. So now you're going to inside out the sock again. So put it back to how you had it. Put the sock on. And now there's going to be a slot where you made those 2 lines. You made 2 lines inside of there. Now there's a slot, and you want to pull your thumb down into that. So you now have a mouth. Okay, you have an actual hinge going on. And now the next step is to put a tongue inside of that mouth. So the camera is not at the best angle for you to see. It's sort of upside down, but hopefully that makes sense. All right, so just put that aside. Okay, so now you're going to get your felt sheet. And you're going to cut in the shape of a thumb. I'm sorry, you're going to cut in the shape of a tongue. And you can make it as big as small as you want. You can make it any shape or size. Sorry, you don't want to make it too small, because the whole point of the tongue, the only point of the tongue is that when you open the puppet's mouth, the audience sees a flash of pink. And so it helps to see when your puppet is speaking. Anything extra is like, you don't need to do anything extra unless you really want to. You can make it special tongue design, or you can make a super long tongue that hangs out of the puppet's mouth, or a funny shaped tongue or something. So you can see I've already cut one out. So this is how I do it. The first one I kind of made more like a teardrop shape, so you could do that, or you can just do a very simple tongue shape like that. I was gonna say it might be a bit small, but I think it's probably perfect. Again, as long as the audience can see it when you open the puppet's mouth. So now put your sock puppet on. For some of these gluing things, you might want to have a partner helping you. This one you can do on your own. So open the puppet's mouth, put a gob of glue inside of its mouth, and then stick the tongue in there. See, I might actually make that tongue just a bit bigger, but I think it's fine. Okay. Put glue. Put your tongue in there. Press it down. Okay, so now when that puppet is speaking, it has a tongue. It has a tongue. Cool. Okay, so now that the puppet has a tongue, the rest of the things we're going to be doing is putting a nose, eyes, and hair on it. But before we do that, we want to put the sweater on the puppet. So we did not make sweaters in class. Matthew brought already made sweaters in that we put on the puppet, and they were already made. So, but I've figured out pretty much exactly what he did in order to make a sweater for your puppet out of a sock. So what you're going to do is cut the sock off in half. So the straight part before it gets to the heel, pretty much right at the heel, you're going to cut that off. Just cut it in half. This part is going to be the body part of the sweater. So remember where the top of the sock was? This is the part we cut. So this is like the bottom of the sweater, and this is the neck. And your puppet's head will come out. This part of the sock we're going to turn into arms. So there's this little flare out here, and I'm just going to straighten that off so that this is straight out across. Now you're going to put this hot dog way. Not hamburger, hot dog way. Also, I'm going to flatten it out. So I'm putting my hand in there. Again, I don't know exactly how he went about making the arms, but this is as close as I could gather, and I'm pretty sure it's correct. So now it's as if someone's foot was in the sock, right? There's the seam at the end. We're going to cut this in half. Hot dog way. Whoops, I missed it. Yeah, just be careful because you're cutting through like two pieces, so just be careful. Alright, so these are going to be the arms. Now I noticed that I liked the inside of this sock better. I like the texture better. It looks more like a sweater to me. I mean, this could be a sweater, but this looks like a fuzzy sweater. So I like that better. and I'm going to use that side for the arms. Same thing with this. When I put it on the puppet, I'm going to inside it out. I think it has a cooler texture. Alright, so that being said, because I want this side to be the outside, what I'm going to do is bring this edge in so that we don't have all these frayed edges around the sides. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm gluing all the way around the perimeter. And unless you have like really hot glue gun, the one thing about these $4 glue guns is that they don't get super hot, so that the glue kind of doesn't stay wet that long. It dries like in seconds, so you just kind of got to move with it. Then again, the material we're working with is super forgiving. Like, in other words, it sticks really easily. So, I mean, don't get stressed out, but just have some, you know. Alright, okay, so now we got this. So that does not look like an arm, Jared, but this is now, we're going to glue this together. Okay, so I'm going to glue the one side. Now I'm going to fold it in half, like this. Just pressing around it. There. So that's an arm for the sweater. Oops, got some glue on there. So anyway, so there's the top of the sock. So I've got it upside down. So I don't know if I'm going to be flipping this image around after, or if I'm going to leave it, but you could, so that could be like the neck of your sweater. See? And then wherever the seam is, like here we glued it, and I'm going to just put a little bit more in here because you don't need to at all. Like, it's going to stay. You'll probably be surprised. I was surprised how much this just stayed. Put some more in there. So, yeah, when I put this arm on, I'm going to make sure that the seam part is going into the sweater. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you could do it that way. It's not really going to make a big difference, but I think it's just a little more uniform this way. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same thing to this side. So this is the inside. This is the part I want on the outside. So I'm going all the way around the edge. A little bit in so that I have room to fold it. And however, you could fold this part first. Doesn't really matter. So right, like that. And then again here, one thing that Matthew mentioned in class was always glue the big part first. So if you have a little thing to glue on, put the glue on the big thing and stick the little thing to that, as opposed to putting the glue on the little thing. And it's just, that makes sense. Okay, so we have arms. So this was the toe. This part was the toe of the sock. This part was the part that we cut. So the toe, I'm going to attach here to the sides of the sweater. Now I'm going with this folded down a little bit, right? For a little like turtleneck vibe or whatever, a hem, or I don't know what you call it on a sweater. So maybe I'm going to put a little piece of glue under there, okay? So that it stays like that. If that's how you want to make the sweater. And I'm going to do that on the other side as well. You don't need to do that, but it's an option. You could have just left, you didn't have to fold it down like that. Alright, so now I'm flipping this around and stuff. I don't know which angle I'm going to end up doing this. If I'm going to flip it around in the computer, just leave it. So now I'm going to glue the arms to the side. So I put a line of glue and just stick it on there. Put a little bit of pressure. Do the same thing on the other side. Now the one thing about these cheap glue guns is that once the glue gets there, it's not going to press anymore. You have to like push another piece in behind it. Because this is the pushing mechanism and it doesn't push it any further than that. So you have to like push it in. Which is stupid. But it's okay. That's what you get for $4. It works. It works. If you work it. So that looks like a seam in the sock. So I'm guessing I'm gonna actually have the sweater facing this way. So there is the sweater for the puppet, and here's our puppet. So now we're going to put our hand in. You see, we didn't want to put any more details on the top of the puppet because we needed to make the sweater so that we can put the sweater on the puppet. So make sure this is like how you like it. Make sure everything is nice on there, on your arm. And then just put the sweater on your puppet. Okay. So one thing that he mentioned was make sure you have enough distance for the neck. You don't want your sweater to be like too high up, okay, because it's gonna look weird. You want your puppet to have a little bit of a neck. Now because I just did that, I'm just gonna reset this for a second and see everything's falling apart, of course, but it's okay because I did put those little bit of glue. Because what will happen is you're going to have this layer and then the inside layer. So what you might want to do is put a little bit of glue in between the skin of the puppet and the sweater. There is just one main piece of glue that we need to do for that. So you don't necessarily have to do this step that I'm going to show, but I think it helps with holding the sweater in place. No, what it helps with is making sure that when you go to put your puppet on, you don't have to dig around inside the sweater to find the opening of the sock part. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll show you. Okay, so that's about how much I want of a neck sticking out, because you're always going to have your wrist at like a candy cane, so you want there to be a neck to see, okay? I think it's just... So once you have it, the part that the other thing is straighten it out so that when you hold it up, and I'm holding it up right now, you can't see it, you can't see me doing it, but I'm holding it up and looking at it so I can see like that the arms are in a straight position. They're not like wonked or in a weird way. Like it just looks like it's facing head on. Like this arm's not way back there or something, you know? They're just at the sides. So now go flip it around and see. Now that doesn't look at the sides. It's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm just getting a little fussy. So you're going to put tape behind the sweater line so that the sweater sticks to the puppet. So put tape, glue. Did I say tape? It's getting late. Okay, so you put glue there. And then optionally, so see what happens? Like the sock inside is riding up, and then it can be hard to find the entrance. So you might put a little bit of glue here, like on the belly as well, so that it oh crap. Yeah, it's getting late for me, but okay, so and you can just, if you got some glue or whatever, you can pull it off or cut it off with scissors later. Okay, so we got our puppet and it has a sweater on. Yeah, you'll see later. The puppet has a sweater on. Hello. Maybe when I flip this around, it's gonna look better. This is the angle I'm shooting on. And you can always adjust this once you have it on your arm. Like, you don't need to go crazy with glue. Just make sure you have that one strip behind its neck. Alright, so the next step is to do eyes. Oh, actually, no. The next step is to do a nose. So how to do the nose is to find your longest finger. Maybe it's your middle finger, probably not. It's probably your ring finger, but if it's your middle finger, whatever. It doesn't need to be dead center. It just needs to be your longest finger. And wherever that fingertip is, well, whatever. I mean, I'm just telling you how he explained it in class. Tip the nose to your fingertip. So choose a nose color. So I'm going to make this puppet's nose green. Bad choice. What's the complementary color for purple? Well, it would be orange. But I do green. So I find my longest finger. Okay, it's there. Or is it here? Choose. It's up to you. On the tip. Gob of glue. Now your puppet has a nose. Hello. It looks kind of like a worm to me. Anyway, so next you're going to put the eyes on. So you don't want to put the eyes flat on here. From the angle you're looking at, it would look fine if we put the eyes flat. But it's going to be at a different angle. Like the audience is going to be looking at your puppet like this because your wrist is going to be bent in a candy cane fashion. And so you want the eyes looking out forward. And so you're going to put a line of glue at that middle knuckle of your fingers. You could put the eyes back there on your knuckle line. Probably somewhere between your middle knuckle and your main knuckle. So if I take my hand out, that's where you want your eye line to be. Like anywhere from there to there. Okay, sorry, my camera shut off. So back to this. There, or somewhere in between there. I recommend just doing it there. But it's your preference. Alright. So this is how we do the eyes. Line of glue across the knuckles. Oh, I messed up that bead of glue. Anyway, and then eyeballs standing up straight on there. Okay. The eyeballs standing up straight in the line of glue. So they're just standing on there. Make sure you put like a decently thick line of glue. I'm just touching it up a little bit. Probably didn't really need that, but I just like to be safe about it. But I'm surprised how much this stuff really sticks and doesn't fall off. I think it's just the nature of the materials, but other materials probably don't stick so easily. Alright, so puppet's almost done here. Getting really close. So the next thing we're going to do, because this is the succession of the way we did it in class, I mean, you could add hair now, but what we did was the hands next. Okay, so this is where you're going to use this foam stuff. And you can choose whatever color you want for the hands. So I think I'm going to do yellow. So for this part, it's pretty simple. What I'm going to do is just fold this in half. And then we're going to cut it. I guess this would be hamburger way, right? Hamburger, fold and cut. And the reason we're doing this is so that when we go to cut out the shape of the hand... Oh, is this not filming again? No, okay. It's filming. So the reason we do this is because that when we go to cut out the shape of the hand, we just have to do it once, and we get both hands. So all you need is a thumb and then a hand. You don't need to do separate fingers. So remind yourself how big you want your puppet's hand to be. Like, here's my puppet, and I think that this hand is way too small. I just went with it, but keep that in mind. I think it's probably more expressive to have a bigger hand on there, so you can see more of the hand anyway. So I'm going to try for like a bit of an oversized hand. Or just like a quote-unquote normal hand, if that's a thing. So, yeah, here we go. I'm going to go this way. I don't know why. So just make a thumb. And then make a mitten. And then because we did it both, we have 2. Now, I made them too big, or maybe they'll fit, because I want them to fit in there. So I'm just going to trim them a little bit. Huge thumbs. Okay. Scary. You don't have to make the thumbs that big. You do whatever shape you want. Just how I did it. Now, okay, if this is how the puppet's orientation is, it's looking forward at the audience. You do not want the thumbs pointing down. Okay? You want the thumbs pointing up as if you're looking at the audience like this. You know, you're facing the audience and you have your hands out this way, not down. So this is how you want to glue them in. So again, for the hands, go in here, gob of glue. Make sure the thumb is facing up. Stick it in there. Give it a pinch. Do the other one. Put a gob of glue in there. Give it a pinch. Okay, so your puppet now has eyes. It can see things. It can smell things. And now it can touch things. Touch its nose. Okay. So when you put the puppet on your hand, okay, and you make sure your thumb goes down the slot that you made, and you go put your thumb all the way down that slot, and then your nose is going to line up with your longest finger, and you can adjust so that the arms are right. Okay, so now if you're right-handed, your puppet's going to be on your right hand. So you can make it talk. And then, so you can't see this on camera very well, but this is like my perspective, right? So here's my left hand. So I'm going to put the stick on this hand that's closest to my left hand. I'm not going to put it over here on this hand so that I have to like reach over to move that stick. So it's going to be on your puppet's left hand. Okay, so for the stick, he recommended breaking off this pointy tip. And then you're going to put it behind the hand. Sort of. I mean, when you're gluing on the hands, maybe you want to put the glue in front so that you have more room to hide the tip of the stick if you want. Sort of in there. Inside of the sweater. I'm going to actually kind of just poke it in there, but you do want to glue it, so I'm gonna put some glue on there, stick it in just a bit further, pinch it down, okay, so now you have the arm rod for your puppet. Okay, so we're time for the hair, and that's going to look like you need a book. So for the hair, you need a book. If you want to do short hair, you need a smaller book. And if you want to do long hair, you need a bigger book. So the longer the hair, the bigger the book you need. And I'm not talking about necessarily a thick book, but like a longer book. Because what we're gonna do is wrap the yarn. Where's my yarn? So we're gonna wrap the yarn around this book a bunch of times. Just like this. So I want this puppet to have really long hair and a lot of hair. But you might not want that much hair, so you would do less wraparounds. And if you wanted shorter hair, you could even wrap it around like something like this a bunch of times. Because then what we're going to do is cut it, and I'll show you how to cut it. So a couple more times here, so I want thick hair, and I'm like, yeah, anyway, that's probably good. So you know, you're gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this piece that I started with. By the way, I can't play anything in this book. I just have this book. I don't play piano. Alright, so you find the middle of your hair. Oh, whoops. I guess I forgot to cut the yarn part. So yeah, you gotta cut it off the yarn too. Here we go. Whoops. I forgot to cut the yarn off first. So, okay, now you have this like big... My hands are really dry, and this wool is like polyester and it's sticking. Pretty much you want to just take one strand of this stuff and tie a knot in it. If I can ever find that. Oh my gosh. Whoa, it just like disappeared. Alright, so take a strand and tie it around. I think if you have shorter hair, you can skip this step. You don't need to tie it off like this, but I think it gives the hair a sort of like a part. So you can tie it once and then just tie it in a knot. Okay, so now you have this like mop head, pretty much. And a couple of the pieces are falling out because I used a lot. I used a lot of hair. But, so then what you do is get your puppet on your head. And to attach the hair, you're going to make 2 strips of glue behind the eyes. So I'm going behind the eyes, I'm making 2 strips of glue. And then you just take your hair and plop it on there. Yeah. And you just plop the hair on, and now your puppet has hair. Wow. And if there's a couple pieces that are longer, you can just obviously cut them off. I gotta use my other hand, but yeah, okay, that's pretty much the entirety of the puppet. So, that's what she looks like, or they look like. Try to give a better demonstration here. So, yeah.
Hi, my name's Sandra. Nice to meet you. My name is Sandra. What's your name?
So these are 3 of the exercises that we did right off the bat with the puppets in class. Was first of all getting the ma. So your puppet, the only sound it can make is ma. Because apparently a lot of times people are going mom, but it should be ma. Like with the speaking, it can be hard to orient. So we just started by saying ma. And when we were saying we were doing this thinking. Just kind of scratching the chin. And then when next thing we did was giggle. These are just like the first gestures we learned. So, giggle. And then me, and you. You and me. That's what we did in the first class. That's what you missed. Hope you enjoyed. Have fun.
Bye.